most people know only two Joyboys, the one we've always heard about, who existed in the Lost Century, and Luffy, who is considered the Joyboy of this new generation. However, in addition to them, there have been other Joyboys in each generation. Do you have any idea who they are? Come closer and I'll show you. Content. What does it mean to be a Joyboy? It has not yet been clearly explained what this really means. What we know is that this is the title given to a man who brings hope to the world. It is a title that indicates this man is the one in whom people can place their faith in the hope of better days. In total, we have had two people mentioned as Joyboy, the Straw Hat Warrior who existed in the Lost Century, and Luffy, the airhead we know. However, throughout history, there have been some pirates who certainly fit this title, and it is precisely them that we are going to meet, Joyboy of the Lost Century. Before talking about the Joyboys we don't know yet, we need to remember who the Joyboy is that we've heard so much about. This Joyboy lived in the Lost Century and was the most significant name in the battle against the 20 during that time. It appears that he was one of the members of the Great Kingdom, which dominated the world before the world government. This kingdom had all the technologies we saw in the Egghead arc. Literally, it was a kingdom that was over 1,000 years ahead in technological terms. So just imagine the power of Joyboy, considering he was the most prominent figure of the Great Kingdom at that time. Furthermore, there is a strong possibility that Joyboy is none other than Nika himself. Many believe that Nika is a deity who truly stands above humans. However, based on what we have analyzed so far, we can assert that Nika is not a superior god, but rather a man like Luffy, who lived in the Lost Century, and that man was precisely Joyboy. We can affirm this for two reasons. First, Joyboy was the user of the Nika fruit. When the Gorosei were talking about this Akuma no Mi, they made it clear that it has been 800 years since the Nika fruit last awakened, and who was alive 800 years ago? None other than Joyboy himself. But what really proves this is that when Luffy finally awakened his powers, he began to emanate the drums of liberation, which are nothing more than the sounds of the heart necessary to reach the complete form of Nika. As soon as Zunesha heard these drums, he became emotional. The last time he had heard this sound was 800 years ago, when his dear friend Joyboy was emitting the drums of liberation during his transformation. Therefore, if Joyboy was capable of emanating the drums of liberation, he logically had to be a user of this fruit. The second reason is that everything points to the fact that Nika was just a person who turned against the government and not a deity in itself. I believe that in the Lost Century, Joyboy was none other than Nika himself, just a young man like Luffy who ended up gaining the powers of rubber. As soon as he gained these powers, he did everything, saved slaves, formed partnerships with the fishmen, and brought joy to the whole world. After all these deeds, Nika received the nickname Joyboy, the joyful boy. As the years went by, he became more recognized by the world as Joyboy, and only the people suffering from slavery knew him as Nika, the sun god who brought joy to everyone. Because the government tried to erase everything about him, rumors began to spread that Nika was a divine being who appeared in the moments when the suffering people needed him the most. Despite this, Nika's joy, the Joyboy, became so contagious that it transcended 800 years through a letter, making Goldie Roger and his crew burst into laughter. That's right, this Joyboy is precisely the man who left the One Piece on the island of Laugh Tale, hoping that the Joyboy of 800 years in the future could put an end to the tyranny imposed by the government, Luffy. And since we're talking about him, it's time to discuss the Joyboy of the current generation, Monkey D. Luffy. He is the person that Joyboy has been waiting for. Apparently, there is a prophecy that the Joyboy who would end the government would come in 800 years to put an end to the war. We can see people predicting this, such as Toki, a woman who lived in the Lost Century and traveled to the future in the hope of witnessing the new Joyboy. Moreover, Odin, after finding the One Piece, said he would open the borders of Wano to prepare for the arrival of Joyboy, which was getting closer and closer. Roger also, when he found the One Piece, said he arrived too early, which leads us to believe that the right thing would be for the true Joyboy to find the One Piece at the right time. Not to mention that during Odin's flashbacks, we see the Sea Kings talking about the birth of their ruler, who was Shirahoshi, and also mentioning that another important person would be born in a distant sea. That person was none other than Luffy. In other words, Luffy was really meant to be the guy. But wait, are you thinking that Luffy was born predestined like Naruto, for example? Do you really think he's kind of a child of prophecy? In fact, he was not the child of prophecy because another person was supposed to be Joyboy in his place. And it's this guy that I'm gonna show you now. Ace, that's right, Ace was supposed to be Joyboy. When Roger was about to die, he mentioned that he wanted his son to find the One Piece. He literally made Ace a legacy to find the One Piece. Most likely, when Roger said goodbye to Shanks, he probably told Shanks to find Ace someday and give him the fruit of Nika, the sun god. This theory makes a lot of sense, as it would explain how Shanks knows so much about this world. So, Shanks grew up, stole the fruit of Nika, and went to the East Blue to find Roger's son, who was being raised by Garp. However, on the way, he met a boy who became his companion. Shanks was enjoying the company of this little boy, who looked a lot like his former captain. But then, suddenly, this kid just ate the fruit that he was about to give to Ace. However, Shanks remembered that zone fruits have a consciousness, so he realized that the fruit chose Luffy and allowed him to be Joyboy. Otherwise, he would have given the fruit to Ace, and Roger's son would be the Joyboy. Roger had everything to be Joyboy. He had his adventurous spirit, was an enemy of the government, and did everything to reach the last island. From what has been shown so far in those flashbacks of Roger's journey, it seems that he pursued the One Piece purely out of a sense of adventure. He was on borrowed time because of his illness, which motivated him to undertake the greatest journey of his pirate life. In the end, he fought against the forces that opposed his goal and reached the treasure left by the Joyboy of the lost century. Just by Roger's reaction to reading Joyboy's letter, we can say that they would have gotten along well. Moreover, there are numerous similarities between Luffy and Roger, such as the power of the voice of all things and their dreams and desires for adventure. In other words, Roger had everything to be Joyboy, but the problem is quite simple. He arrived too early. For some reason, Roger was 20 years ahead of his time, as apparently only the next generation could fulfill Joyboy's plans. But whether he liked it or not, he was the guy of his generation. Literally, he was the Pirate King. After Luffy, we have another Joyboy, and that Joyboy is you, who will subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Come be a part of our growing One Piece community. Thank you so much for staying until the end. A big hug, and see you next time.